Hi, and welcome to Check Your Thread, a podcast about sewing more sustainably. My name's Zoe, and I'm obsessed with sewing. I've been blogging about it for over 13 years and am the creator and host of the popular Handmade wardrobe challenge, Me Made May. But like many people, I've become increasingly concerned about the climate crisis and the way my lifestyle contributes to it. So in this podcast, I'll be nerding out about making clothes whilst exploring how to minimise the negative impact that it may have. I really hope you'll join me on this journey. Hello, lovely listeners. I hope you've had a fantastic week since the last episode. And if this is the first ever Check Your Thread episode you've listened to, welcome. This is the intro bit, then I'll talk about the main part of the episode, and then we'll get stuck into that. If you're a sewer or maker of some other persuasion, I hope your projects have been going well and giving you joy. I've been having a lot of fun getting stuck into some jersey-based projects over the last couple of weeks. So towards the end of last spring, I had a small blowout and bought a number of lengths of fabric with the intention of turning them into layering tops. It was such a soggy, miserable spring last year, and I felt that some tops to layer under other garments would help me get more use from my lighter weight garments. One of those pieces of fabric was some rust and white striped cotton lycra jersey, and I've just finished up making a skinny polo neck top from it using the Nico top pattern by True Bias. It looks so good! I'm so pleased with it, and I'm excited to see what combos I can wear it with. I keep thinking of other things I already own that might work under it. Plus, it's going to be great under dungarees and pinafores. There were some sizable leftovers, so I made myself a pair of undies and a much-needed vest top, both using the free sewing patterns, the Sozo undies and the Sozo vest patterns, which are available via my blog. There's still a small amount left, which I plan to use to make my little boy a pair of undies. The other project I've just finished up making is also a sustainability win. Making this episode has inspired me to finally get round to making 2 more pairs of period pants. I'm counting it as a sustainability win because I know that now I've got 2 more pairs of period pants, I'm going to be using even fewer disposable sanitary products each cycle. For these 2 pairs, I reworked my Sozo undies pattern to make them into a period pants pattern, using the Moontide period pants pattern as a bit of a guide. My undies pattern is the one that works best for my shape and my style preferences, so I thought why not try adapting it for that use also. For the materials, I used some of the items that came in the Sew Project's period pants kit that is discussed in this episode, and some other jersey and fold over elastic that I already owned from Craft and Thrift on Etsy. I fully expect that my 3 pairs are going to last me for years. Thanks so much to Vicky, Sarah, Anna Luce and Sheila for choosing this week to become patrons of Check Your Thread via Patreon. I'm so grateful to them and all the other lovely patrons. Thank you all so much for stepping up to help make this podcast happen. If you're interested in supporting the podcast also, you can make monthly contributions of any amount that you wish. A common amount is about the equivalent of a cup of coffee or 2, but there are patrons who create greater and smaller amounts, and each and every one is thoroughly appreciated. So please find the link in the show notes or on the website checkyourthread.com if you'd like to find out more about supporting the podcast. Well, seeing as I've already started mentioning this week's episode, I may as well get on with introducing it. In this one, I'm talking to narrowboat-dwelling lingerie and pattern designer Yelena Buck. Yelena is the creator of the Moontide period pants pattern and the DIY kits I just mentioned. We talk about the benefits of period pants in general and self-made ones specifically, plus the ingredients that go into them and how to launder them so they'll last for many years. I've written my own review of the pattern and kits, which I'll include in a link at the show notes. If you're a period haver or there's one in your close family, this episode might convince you to try making some if you haven't already. Yelena also expands on some of the other more sustainable aspects of her business, plus offers advice for garment makers who want to branch out into making underwear, including ways to save money and resources whilst doing so. As always, I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired. Enjoy! Right, how was your Christmas?
Yeah, it was good in the end. It was good.
After your car dramas, where did you have to drive to?
Well, we're in Wiltshire. We live on a narrowboat, and you might be able to tell. Yeah.
You live on a narrowboat? Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
And my parents are from Norwich, so quite far.
Oh, that's quite far.
Yeah, so it's at least a 4-hour drive, if not more, really.
What's life on a narrowboat like?
Yeah, it's good. I love it, but it's like things are just a bit more harder. Everything is just like a bit more harder. Obviously, you have to fill up the water tank and have to make sure you have all the water. And I don't know, it's obviously it's a small space as well. So I have to chuck my partner out when we're doing things like this.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, he's out. And we do actually have another boat, which is what I call the studio boat.
Oh, cool.
So that's where I kind of do all my sewing and everything.
Cool. So is it a permanent mooring or do you have to move it?
No, so we're doing constant cruising. So we move it every 2 weeks, yeah.
Do you? So you have to move both boats every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I usually drive one and he drives the other.
Right. Well, let's okay, I have so many questions about that. Maybe we'll get time to come back to that. But can we start by you introducing yourself? Can you please let us know who you are, where you are, and what fills most of your days?
So hello, I'm Yelena. I own Sew Projects, which is a lingerie sewing pattern company. I create kits as well, so people can get started sewing their own lingerie.
So is that your full-time, that's what you do every day?
Yeah, it is at the moment, yeah. It's like a full-time thing.
Amazing. And you're in Wiltshire in the UK?
Yes.
Although maybe in different parts of it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so at the moment we're near Devizes. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
It must be very peaceful.
It is, yeah. It's really nice. That's what I love mostly about it. You see so much nature.
So, as you said, you have your business called Sew Projects, where you sell handmade underwear, sewing patterns, notions, and kits. But can you fill in the gaps for us? How did you get into sewing, and what led you to start Sew Projects?
Yeah, so I didn't start sewing until I was about 17. I think my grandmother, she got me a sewing machine once I was about 16, so just before I left school. And then I thought, oh, why not just do textiles at, I think it was AS level, you know. Because I was already interested in vintage and I got into the make, do and mend, 1940s. For my project, the first thing I made was a 1940s inspired dress made from 3 different garments that I'd got from charity shops. So the first thing I ever made was sustainable, kind of eco-friendly, all recycled, basically.
That's amazing. Also quite bold for a first project.
Yes, I was really interested in historical clothing as well. So I remember my mum got me this massive book and it had all the different historical clothing from maybe 1700s to up until, now. And I just loved looking through that. Then I started looking at all the corsets, obviously, Victorian corsets.
Yeah.
And the 1920s lingerie as well, because that was so delicate and lovely. I think that's when I kind of took an interest in the underwear side of things.
Ah, interesting. So your love of underwear was quite early on in your kind of sewing career.
Yeah, it was actually. I haven't actually made that many outerwear garments.
Right, interesting.
Yeah, I did a sewing class actually, I remember. And at the beginning of it, I was making this dress. It was silk. It was actually really hard and it was not the right type of silk or anything. But by the end of it, I started making a vintage style bra.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think I knew that's what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go.
That's so good that you found your passion for the niche that you love so soon.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's hard to describe what you like about it. I guess it's the kind of the delicateness and also the structure at the same time.
Yeah. Do you still find inspiration from historic underwear? Oh,
yeah, definitely. I think a lot of designers do. I think it's just so amazing when you look back in these books or you go to these museums, you're just awestruck by it. And even when you go to museums now, I haven't been in a little while, but
no one has.
No, I remember I went to the Bath Museum. I can't remember what it's called.
It's like the Bath Costume Museum or something, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's it. I went there a few years ago and I hadn't actually been to a museum in a while before that. And I thought, oh, wow, this is so amazing. Everything's so delicate and pretty. And you just get awestruck again by kind of history of clothing.
Just kind of reignited your love for it.
Yeah, definitely.
What led you to start Sew Projects then? What made it transition from a pastime or a hobby or something you were interested in to something that you decided you wanted to make a business out of?
I did actually go to uni and I did do contour fashion.
Oh, cool.
Before quite a little while ago now, I suppose.
Where was that? What university was that?
That was De Montfort University in Leicester.
Oh, Leicester, yes. I went
Yes.
to university in Nottingham, so I used to go and visit Leicester quite a lot.
So yeah, I actually did want to get into that uni for quite a few years, but I wasn't successful. But there was this one year, I wasn't actually in education at the time, but I had an artist studio and I basically just went crazy with the creativity. And yeah, I managed to get in. But I actually started a handmade lingerie brand the summer just before that.
Wow, that's so bold. I love it.
That was more of a hobby, I would say, you know.
That was a hobby, a whole business.
Yeah. I did actually do my whole collection. The main fabrics were recycled fabrics. They were just fabrics I found at charity shops, like
So kind of reclaimed from existing garments.
Yes. Yeah, I went to uni, done 3 years there, and then I actually worked in London for about a year.
Working in underwear?
Yeah, so I'd done all the kind of the technical part of it, the pattern drafting and the grading, all of the stuff that kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but useful though.
Oh yeah, like I love doing all the pattern drafting, so, and the technical stuff as well.
Yeah.
And all whilst this, I was still doing my handmade lingerie brand, you know, as a hobby part-time thing.
Was that called Sew Projects?
No, that was called Yelena Buck lingerie.
Right. So you did your year in London?
Yes, that's right. I actually left, so my health was deteriorating. I actually had some health problems for quite a while.
Right.
So I stopped doing that. It was just too much. Yeah, in the end, I stopped doing my handmade lingerie brand as well. And that's when I thought about doing sew projects. You know, I also felt like I just wanted to help other people. I had all this knowledge that I'd gained. I just wanted to help other people, really, and, you know, teach them how to make lingerie. Because I know that when I started doing it, it was actually really hard to find the resources for it. I know there's a lot more now. So, yeah, I launched in 2019. I think it's February.
Awesome. So what I really want to talk to you about today in particular is the washable period pants products that you sell. Obviously, most of the people listening to this podcast are interested in different ways to live more sustainably. So if they're a period haver or there's a period haver in their close family, why should they consider making washable period underwear?
I think they are absolutely amazing. Obviously, the first thing about sewing your own period pants, you can make them exactly how you like them. You can buy them now in like supermarkets and things. But for instance, you don't know what fabrics they've used. You don't know, you know, whether they're going to be comfortable, or you don't know if they're going to suit your flow type. So by making them yourself, you're knowing exactly what's going into them and you're making them to fit you.
Yeah.
For, you know, your flow. And I think that's important. You can actually make them to fit any flow type. I've done a lot of testing. Yeah, no, obviously they are completely reusable. So the ones that I've been using for years. It might be an investment at the beginning because it can work out a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it works out so much cheaper. And, you know, you're not throwing away single-use sanitary pads every month. It depends what you're used to, but I mean, I was using quite big pads before. So when I compared it, I thought, well, these actually feel much thinner.
I feel like in comparison to pads, whether they're disposable pads or even like the washable type, I feel like the period pads just feel more secure somehow.
Yeah, I feel that as well. And the reason why I actually looked into period pads was I was using the reusable pads, and I felt they just slipped around a bit.
Yeah.
And because they weren't all secure everywhere, they were just secure like underneath. And that was one of the things that I wanted to improve on. So I'm kind of pleased I've been able to improve that. They just feel secure, that they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So as far as I'm aware, like kind of period underwear, it started to become available a few years ago, didn't it?
Yes, yeah.
They were pretty expensive when they first came out, weren't they? I think they were like £25 a pair or something.
Yeah.
So I heard good things about them, but also because I make my own underwear, like I didn't kind of make the leap to buy any. So what's your experience been of them? Did you try like some shop bought ones first, or what then inspired you to try making your own?
I actually haven't tried the shop bought period pants. The only ones that I did try was years and years ago, and I don't know if you remember, but they were a brand called Dear Kate.
No, I don't know those.
They were kind of like the first brand that I heard of. I wouldn't say they were period pants. They were more for leaks,
Okay.
or like more of a liner.
Yeah.
And I tried them. I must have been in my late teens,
Right.
So that was quite a while ago. But I didn't actually get on with them. I didn't like them. They didn't feel comfortable, and they felt really synthetic as well.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of put me off period pants,
no.
to be quite honest. And so I was a bit like, I don't know if I want to try them again. I'd start using the reusable pads, and I preferred reusing reusable things as opposed to the throwaway things. So, and then, I saw people in the sewing community making their own period pants, and obviously they were a lot more popular, like now as well. So you could buy them.
So you thought, I have an underwear brand. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just thought, I'm just going to have a go. I'm just going to make a pair and see how it goes. So I did, and I was just like, oh, wow, I love these. And they weren't even like very good compared to like the pattern that I've made now.
So even your early versions you were hooked. It's like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, it just felt so much more comfortable.
Brilliant. So you got in touch with me earlier this year, because we're recording this at the very, very tail end of 2021. And you offered me one of your period pants kits and your mood tide period pants pattern to try for free in exchange for an honest review, which I did. It took me a while, but I did.
Thank you.
So I'd started to see, like you, some other people in the sewing community make their own, and I was intrigued. But it was really like your offer to test the pattern and the kit that kind of really gave me the push that I needed. And I'm really pleased that I did, because even though I still only have the one pair, I'm using considerably fewer tampons each cycle. Like it makes a marked difference, like how fewer I'm buying. Amazing. Definitely saving me money. And I was getting I still do get some of the time of the month ones, which are the kind of organic cotton ones that you have to buy online.
Yeah, I get them too, yes.
Yeah, so that's like postage and packaging, and they come in a beautiful box, which is lovely, but it's a lot of ink and stuff that's been printed on that. So it's great to know that I'm not chucking money and resources away every single month. But what I really like about your Moontide pattern instructions are that they're really comprehensive. Like, you've done a really, really good job.
Oh, thank you.
And they include like loads of information about like the various materials you need, like even if you haven't bought the kit, which I think is wonderful. Because that's one of the reasons why I hadn't tried before, because I just was a bit confused about what type of materials I'd need to gather. And like you, like I heard that some of them were quite synthetic, and I try and steer away from that as far as possible, especially in my underwear. So that was what was really good about your kit, because it kind of just took away that kind of confusion. You kind of told me what to buy and how much of it you'd need and why you'd need it, and what its function was for. So that was really good. So can you tell us about what your kits include, and then how you developed them from that initial pair to work out what to include?
Yeah, so from the initial pair, I used more synthetic fabrics, and I kind of realised, no, that's not what I wanted to do. So I went, and I knew that I always prefer more natural fabrics. Obviously, it's better for your skin as well. Like, when I was considering, I knew I wanted it to be as sustainable as possible and as natural feeling and comfortable as possible. So for the moisture wicking fabric, which is the fabric that goes against your skin, I decided to use a bamboo jersey. So bamboo is really good at wicking away moisture from the body, and has shown to have like natural antibacterial effects as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's so soft as well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like the softest fabric going. So that was just like, I'm going to be using that. And then underneath that, so we've got the absorbent fabric. So I use a Zorb fabric.
And that's 100% cotton, isn't it?
Now, yeah, it is. The 100% cotton is like what they call like the mattress topper. So inside is actually the Zorb technology. Now, I don't think they disclose what that is.
Right.
And I didn't actually realise that. I think that's like their own technology that they've developed of how to make it absorbent. I'm going to be doing some more research into that myself.
Yeah. So is the Zorb technology, is that other fibres that are in there as well? Or is it just the technology is the way that it's been produced, like the way that it's been formed?
I think it's probably both, actually. Right. Yeah. Like I say, I don't know what the fibres would be, because that's kind of their special recipe. But yeah, there's obviously different variations you can get, and I've chosen to get the organic cotton one. And then the other layer, which is the waterproof layer, which is the PUL, polyurethane laminate. That's the most synthetic layer, but it is obviously essential if you don't want your period pants to leak. It depends how heavy your flow is. Some people don't even need that layer, but obviously some people will. So you could do without it if you didn't want it. Like I say, they're going to last you a while anyway, so it's not something that you're going to be throwing away.
Exactly. It's not a layer of plastic that's then going in the bin straight away. It's there for a purpose.
It's going to be there for years. You're going to be using them for years and years, hopefully. So it's not going to be a throwaway plastic. So I think it's worth having that for your peace of mind, knowing that you're not going to leak. Yeah, and then just on the outside layer, I just have the organic cotton jersey, which you use for the whole knicker, the main body of the knicker as well.
Yeah.
And then finally, the fold-over elastic, which is a slightly wider fold-over elastic, and it has a good stretch retention, because I find with the period pants, you want it to feel kind of snug on the body.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. And also the ever so slightly wider, it's actually easier to sew as well, isn't it? Especially when you're going around the curves.
Yes, exactly. It is a lot easier to sew, so that's better for more beginners as well. So
I also really loved that you include tips for laundering your period pants as well, to help people make them stay in good condition and in use for as long as possible. So how do you recommend people launder their period underwear?
So I would, if you can, as soon as possible, give them a rinse. I hand wash pretty much most of mine all the time.
Is that because you live on a boat?
Yes. You wash them with cold water first.
Yeah.
Which is kind of reduces the stain, and then soak them, because obviously it's an absorbent layer, so it does absorb quite a lot of your flow.
Yeah.
And then wash them with, well, if you're putting them in the washing machine, obviously just normal detergent, but I just use a soap or hand washing detergent. Yeah, just hang dry them. I wouldn't tumble dry them, because then that will deteriorate them more quicker.
Yeah.
As long as you don't leave them too long.
Yeah.
Without rinsing them out. You know, they're really simple to wash. So
that's something that I learned in the book that I wrote when I was researching that about laundering, that kind of stains that are protein based, so blood, vomit, baby poo, it's best to give those a soak or a rinse at least in cold water first, isn't it, rather than going straight for like a hot wash or something, or hot water, because that actually sets the stain. And if I knew that a long time ago, I would have saved so many garments when my kids were babies. But so I thought that was super useful and really interesting, and I love that you included that. So when I've been doing mine, I've been laundering mine, I've just, as you said, when I've immediately taken them off, give them a rinse or give them a little bit of a soak in cold water, then I've just been chucking them in the washing machine with, you know, I tend to do my underwear and towels and stuff on about a 60 degree, and it's just been fine. And the quality of the materials that you've included in the kit is really impressive, because both the outer fabric and the elastic, they don't show any signs of like fading or anything. And I've been washing them a lot, because I've been trying to get like 2 uses per period out of the one pair. So they look like when I first made them, to be honest. They look really, really good. Okay, so can you tell me about any other ways that you've brought more sustainable choices into your business? I'm thinking about your packaging, by the way.
Okay, we're talking about my packaging. Yeah.
Or whatever you want. I was just thinking that was something that came to mind.
So all my packaging is plastic free, and the only thing that looks like plastic is actually a cellulose plastic.
It's cornstarch, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
I love that stuff.
The only downside is it is quite loud and it's really crinkly.
You can compost that, can't you?
Yeah, and then obviously I use a cardboard box to package it in. And the other thing I now do on my website is you can actually say whether you want your order to be in like a recycled packaging. So obviously parcels that have been sent to me, I keep all my packaging. I'm one of those people that keeps all the packaging. I have like drawers filled of like this packaging. So yeah, people can say whether they want it in reused packaging. So then I'll just use something out of my drawer from packaging that's just been sent to me.
That's such a nice idea. And it's so nice to give people that option as well. So it's not like it's going to appear in a used envelope and they'll be like, oh, they know that that's going to happen. But then maybe if it's a gift, possibly they might want to choose the kind of more robust kind of new packaging.
So yeah, so that's the packaging side of it. And obviously living on the boat, we have a load of solar panels that charge our batteries. Pretty much for 9 months of the year, we're using solar panel electricity.
Amazing. That's so good.
My sewing machine pretty much does run off just solar power.
Wow.
It's just kind of nice to know, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any tips for sewing more sustainably, or sewing underwear more sustainably, or sewing underwear more sustainably, or sewing in general?
Yeah, so obviously with underwear making, because the patterns are so small, you've probably got scraps and leftovers from your other projects if you're already doing a lot of sewing. So you'll probably be able to look through your fabrics and think, oh, actually, I've already got fabric that I can make for knickers or a little bralette or whatever. So I mean, the only thing you'd probably have to buy a bit different is the elastic. You can repurpose old bras as well, so they've got really tatty. You can take all like the rings and sliders and the bra fasteners off. Good and point. The wires if it's a wired bra. Yeah, because used bras, they don't have a lot of resale value for the charity shops, do they? So you may as well harvest what you can from them, even like the little, like if there's any cute kind of trims or something, I guess. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So if someone was, maybe they've done some garment sewing projects and they were interested in making underwear, what would you say would be a good project to start?
I created the penny knicker pattern, which is the beginner friendly pattern. You don't have to use any stretch fabrics. So it's more like a roughly style knicker where you use rigid and woven fabrics.
Right. Some woven undies is a good kind of in to the whole genre.
Yeah, because also then you'll be practicing doing the elastic and you won't have to worry about using the stretch fabrics at the same time. So I think that's really good place to start, definitely.
Awesome. And then you can go and build on your expertise and use up those knit scraps and make some other undies, maybe some period pants if you're a period haver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ultimately, like undies, not that many people are going to see those undies. So it doesn't matter if they're not flawless, does it?
Exactly. No.
Well, thank you so much, Yelena. Thank you for inspiring us to make undies, inspiring us to make period undies in particular. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really good.
Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and are left feeling inspired. For more info about the podcast, including show notes for this and every episode, head to checkyourthread.com. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, questions or ideas for future episodes, please get in touch by emailing zoe@checkyourthread.com or find me on Instagram @checkyourthread. Massive thanks to Patrick Potter for production support, to Sylvia Seller for the awesome logo design, and to Simon at Palm Skin Productions for the music. This ad-free podcast would not be possible without listener support, so if you feel you are able, please consider signing up to the Check Your Thread Patreon. For the equivalent of buying me a coffee each month, you'll be making it possible to continue producing regular episodes. Links can be found in the show notes and on the website checkyourthread.com. I hope you'll listen again next week. Until then, take care. Bye!